Welcome to the Cedar Park United podcast. On this fifth Sunday of Lent, we walk with the knowledge that the human life of Jesus is close to completion. Death is near. Yet we enter spring. In the Northern Hemisphere, snow becomes water again. The dying in the winter transforms into rebirth, even as the Southern Hemisphere enters the fall season, slowing down and dying. So the whole planet lives into death and rebirth simultaneously, and so do we. Worship leader Joanne Kalan invites us to ask the question, who steadfastly leads us through these seasons of change?
Good morning. This is the first time I present a reflection for church service. And these readings are quite heavy, don't you think? If I really knew what I was doing, I would have agreed to a Sunday after Lent. Maybe talk about the mystery and joy of Easter or Pentecost. Nevertheless, I will attempt not to get too gloomy on this Lenten Sunday. Although Lent does ask us to observe and embrace the difficult experiences in life. So I will relate the ecological crises the earth is facing through the lens of our worship theme, death and rebirth pertaining to nature. The studies in my master's program anchors ecological understanding in spiritual and religious avenues. We discuss a lot about climate grief. There's so much that is dying right now in our world. The death of species and habitat loss, land destruction and deforestation, water overconsumption and pollution, and climate change. Where do we put our focus? How do we gather the strength to comprehend the onslaught of environmental destruction? Never mind do any work to fix it or reverse it. The hopelessness one may feel can be defined in a term called solastalgia, coined by the Australian environmental philosopher and professor Glenn Albrecht. It is a form of emotional distress caused by negative environmental changes in one's home locale or bioregion, or even from across the world. Essentially, it is our inherent interconnectedness to an ecosystem that makes us feel for its pain, destruction, demise, which then can create significant chronic distress in the people who call these places home. Examples of ecological disasters that may include or induce solastalgia are drought, forest fires, clear-cutting due to logging or construction, flooding, mining, extreme weather, and war too. If we recall the fires in Australia, Hawaii, and Alberta, and the animals, places, and people who were affected, this might cause solastalgia. The neglect of waterways is also part of the larger ecological crisis. The idea of living waters found in the Bible and today's readings connects us to the baptism of Jesus, a birth, rebirth into God and community. Yet the living waters are creation itself. Water is the source of life. It is unfortunate that humanity, especially in the last and current century, has disregarded water, commodified it, and taken it for granted. Indigenous communities and water protectors continually educate and advocate for clean water and the honoring of waterways. It is because, or is it because, we have misunderstood the literal meaning of water, the actual livingness of water, to be our lifeline, that we do not consider its finiteness. We only have so much water on this planet. Yet we keep polluting and wasting water, have paved over streams, and destroyed the living beings who live in the rivers, lakes, and oceans. No fresh water, no life. Maybe if you have a chance to walk by or see some photos Martha has taken of the chunks of ice formations on the shores of Lake St. Louis, The beauty and power of water will guide an appreciation of nature. You can see those pictures up here. In studying the interconnectedness of nature, humans, the planet, the animals, we like to call them the more than humans, and all of creation, I've learned to understand how we perceive nature spiritually, how we hold Earth religiously, and how we treat it economically, politically, culturally, and socially. In other words, how many humans live as if we are the authority over every living aspect and being of the planet? And how many humans live as the caretaker of our only home and its inhabitants, as indigenous knowledge teaches? Our stance of domination has not boded well for much of the planetary ecosystem. Joanne Macy, a scholar of ecology and Buddhism, had a deep connection to our planet, and she explained that honoring pain for the world in crisis is a normal, healthy response. She wrote in her book, Active Hope, and I quote, "Indeed, in every spiritual tradition, compassion, which literally means to suffer with, is prized as an essential and noble capacity. It is evidence of our interconnectedness with all of life." As we witness nature dying in many areas of the world, there are those who are pursuing nature's rebirth. Just like Ezekiel, who saw death in a valley full of dry bones, God saw life and rebirth through mystery and prophesying to the bones and to the four winds themselves. Is it true that birth is first and death is last? That this is the only way life proceeds in this linear fashion? God didn't seem to think so. Lent and Easter attest to death first, rebirth second. Nature seems to have understood the assignment. Autumn and winter are a perishing of sorts, as if to say, we don't get new life without death. Who, might you ask, are the visionaries that keep working to keep nature alive? We could ask Wendy Evans and her Green Faith organization. They have an upcoming online discussion about the ecological changes of the planet based on the podcast series featuring Joanne Macy, and it's called We Are the Great Turning: Love, Courage, and Connection in the Climate Crisis. We could also stop by Fairview Forest on any Saturday and talk to the forest protectors of the Save Fairview Forest organization. And we could help clean up Bouchard Creek in Dorval and speak with the Bouchard Creek Foundation members to support their effort in keeping the creek from being covered over because of construction. Maybe you can join an ecological-minded group in your own area. It is my hope that we keep working and envisioning a life for nature, even when humans are destroying it, in the expectation of dying, rebirth. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Cedar Park United podcast. If it inspired you, or comforted you, or even ruffled your feathers in a good way, please consider leaving a positive rating or subscribing to help others find their way here too. It matters.